In this video, I'm going to show you my fail-proof method for getting perfect reveals around the entire perimeter of inset doors. It's one of those processes in woodworking that can be time-consuming and a little bit of a pain, but as you can see, especially when you zoom in, it's really important to get that offset perfect. So usually when I do this, I'm working in more of a 3/32 inch reveal, and that's more so because a lot of the times my projects are plywood. I don't really have to worry as much about wood movement. But for this project, this is all solid wood, so I'm doing a solid 1/8 inch reveal, and even with that, I'm a little concerned come summer that some of these gaps might close up a bit. But as you can see, I'm using coins a lot as my spacers, and that's going to be about a nickel and a penny's thickness. So I started this project at the top there. I didn't film that top part because that is a continuous piece of wood so that the grain runs across all those three pieces. I don't do that a lot, so I really wanted to make sure I paid attention to it. So I'm going to start this video with the first drawer going down. So what you can't see, but what I'm showing is my opening is perfectly square. And I'm figuring that by my diagonals. The problem is these openings are almost 2 inches long, and you're just naturally going to have little bows in the wood. Over a span like that, you're going to have bows in the verticals. So instead of going and just cutting a door to fit, that really only works if your opening is perfectly square without any problems, which is pretty rare in my shop. What I do is I measure my height and my width, and then I'm going to roughly cut it down to that size. So you can see I'm measuring a couple spots because I want to make sure that I don't take off too much material. That 1/8 of an inch gives me a lot of leeway, but not too much. So these initial cuts I'll do on the radial arm saw and the table saw, and then I make sure to mark the front of these and which way it needs to be oriented. You're going to be taking this in and out multiple times, and you'd be surprised how easy it is to flip it upside down and forget which way is right. So a big piece of blue tape just helps with that. And I make sure it fits snugly in my opening. So as you can see along the side and the bottom, it's perfect. But then I have some little hairline cracks at the corner. And while on camera this doesn't look like that much, it's just shy of a 1/16 of an inch. If you go and then now measure your perimeter, subtract an 1/8 of an inch and cut it down, I'm telling you, you'll see that added space. And on a simple piece of furniture like this, your eye will pick it up instantly and it will stand out like a sore thumb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my two squarest sides, and I have an 1/8 inch piece of aluminum stock, which will be my reveal. I'm going to put a heavy pencil mark along the whole piece. That piece of aluminum is real small, so you don't want a big piece because you want to be able to track any sort of differences in the dimension on the outside of that piece. Now, because those two dimensions, like I said, are actually perfectly square, it's a simple process. I'm going to take it to the radial arm saw and cut down to that line, and then I could take it to the table saw and cut down to that line. So like I said, if you're making especially smaller pieces with smaller openings, usually you can get them pretty square. But when you start having bigger pieces of furniture like this, especially with the doors, it's not necessarily my opening isn't square, it's just that over the run of the whole piece, there'll be ebbs and flows that will create those dimension differentials. That's what's happening. It also obviously works if you didn't glue up your piece square, then this method works really well for that also. So once again, I could, now that the bottom and the side are perfect, I could shim those out with my penny and my nickel. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the top with that shim, that aluminum shim, and you'll see when I put it in place that now it's going to pick up all of those differences. So for this one, I know I can't cut it square, so what I'm doing on the radial arm saw is I started cutting square, and then as my blade got too close to my line, I just slightly slid it whichever way I needed to go. So it's a little hard to pick up on camera, especially since my pencil marks don't show up on walnut grate, but that line wasn't straight. It had little ridges to it. Once I do that, I'm going to take it over to the table saw. I have this rasp that someone recommended getting probably about 2 years ago now on one of my videos, and I got it on sale. This isn't a sponsored video. I got it on sale during Black Friday, and it has become a go-to in the shop. And I'm just going to take that rasp and get it right to the edge of my line. Now for the long pieces, I use the radial arm saw and the rasp on the end grain because it doesn't plane very well, and I tried to get it real close to the line because the rasp works well, but it's going to take longer on end grain. For the top part, I just used a plane. A couple passes of the plane will get me close enough to that line, and then you see with the rasp, a couple pushes with the rasp gets me right up to that line. The hand plane's nice because if that line's off, I could apply pressure or relieve pressure in certain spots as I'm planing, and that's how I get it straight down to that line. Once again, you could see if you have a line where it tapers or it's thin or too thick in one spot, just sending it through the table saw is going to give you a misfit. And then, like I said, I take it right up to the line because the line is obviously a little bit too thick because it was on the outside of that aluminum. And then all I could do is shim this in place. Sometimes you'll see little spots, take it back out, add a little bit, remove a little bit more material. But I really creep up on these reveals because especially with a piece like this, where I'm grain matching and using hardwoods, if you take too much off, there's really no going back. You can glue end stock onto it, but it's hard to match the grain. And then the other important part, as you can see, not only is the reveal around the perimeter of your opening important, but now I'm creating a corner where I have a reveal meeting in 4 corners. And if those corners are off, like I said, especially on simple pieces of furniture where there's not a lot of detailing, it stands out like a sore thumb. So that's how I did the drawers. I finished them all up. And then I could start on the doors. I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker because it's essentially the exact same process, but you'll notice because the opening is much bigger, I'm going to have more spots that are off, and your eye will be able to see the differences a little bit better. So for doors like this, I put a little piece of stock on the bottom so it could rest on there and get my measurements. And you could see with this one, even though once again my opening is square, when I pop it in place, that's where you start to see those hairline cracks. So exact same process, all I did was measure my height, my width, and cut it down to get it to fit just about perfectly in that door. You can see it's that opening. It's a very snug fit, and now with the light and the shadows, you can see how the bottom there is touching nicely, but the top's a little off, and then on this one bottom quarter, it's a little off. Once again, the opening itself is square, but I knew this one side had a bow in it, and I also knew there was a bow in another part of this cabinet, and that is what's going to create those differences. So same process, I pick my 2 sides that are the flattest, and I'm going to cut those down. This one, they weren't flat enough to just cut them straight, so I'm doing the exact same thing. It's hard to see because I'm moving it ever so slightly, but with the radial arm saw, I'm really creeping in on that cut, and within reason, you don't want to twist this or torque it too much, but within reason, I could pull this back from the blade or even cheat it into the blade a little bit to track that line better than if it was a straight cut. And then that is about how close I want to get to my line so I don't have to be using this rasp forever. And that is how I remove that end grain. And then once that's done, I can pop it back in place, mark it, and then do the other sides. And like I said, with the hand plane, I could bring it down to that line with a couple passes of the hand plane, and then once again clean it up with the rasp. So as you can see, it is a process, but it is worth it. And especially if you're doing a paint grade project, there's a little more leeway, but on a hardwood piece like this, it's not getting stained, it's getting clear coated. They really have to be perfect. So you see, I could just pop it into place with my coin spacers, and then once again, I'll track the other 2 sides and then get it to fit perfectly. Now, if you're a beginner, this process might not turn out perfect, so my recommendation is going to be to buy quality hardware. The hinges I'm using for the doors are Blum Inset hinges. The hardware I'm using for the slides are Blum slides. They have a couple different connectors for those slides. Spend the money to get the ones with the 3-way adjustment. So if your reveals are a little off, you can usually within reason make up those differences in the adjustability of the slides. Before I permanently mounted these, or at least for the customer to see, I put a chamfer on all of the edges. Like I said, the humidity is still pretty low in my shop. We're creeping up on spring, but it's not super humid out yet. And even though most people's houses are climate controlled, the height of summer is when this is going to swell the most. So adding that chamfer means that if worse comes to worse and this does swell too much and I have to make some adjustments to the reveal, with that chamfer I could go on site and only have to plane down a little bit of material versus a whole 3/4 inch solid door. Like I said, this is the hardware for the door, which is going to be a 3-way adjustable, and you're going to need that regardless. And the hardware for the drawers was going to be Blum as well, which also has 3-way adjustment, and you could really dial that in. Usually when you first mount them, don't be terrified if they're off. Those hinges don't come pre-adjusted, and I could just tweak those adjustments and get it to sit back in that door the way I had it. If you had it sitting in there perfectly, you'll be able to readjust it. I get it pretty close with these. This all has to come apart for finish, so I don't dial it in too much. I also made poles for this in the shop, so I put those on, and you can see now it really pops. This is just part of a bigger project. I will have a full build video of showing you how I make this buffet coming out in probably a couple weeks from now, if you're interested in knowing how I completely built this piece.